Perhaps Mark isn't going to be able to join us tonight, so let's open the Board of Selectmen meeting for the town of Nahant for October 1st, 2020. Looks like we're going to start with opening comments, starting with a coronavirus update from Deb Murphy and John Coulon.
Here you go, Deb.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So the update we have is great. We still have no new cases. We haven't had a case since September 23rd. Last night when the new data came out for the last 2 weeks from the state, we are still in the very, very lowest risk category that there is, which is the gray category. In our town, we've had a total of 1,601 people tested. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 229 people tested. The state reported that we had one positive, which really is incorrect. There was one case reported to Nahant, but it was an accident. It was really meant for me. So we did not pick up another case. So we continue to do great. I was in the school one day this week. I went down to meet with Cheryl Delicio, the school nurse. They're doing a great job at the school. It's a lot of work for the teachers and for the nurse, I will say that, but the kids were really, really happy to be in school, and so far everything's going great there. So we are getting ready on October 5th. Here's John now to go into the phase 3 step 2, because we meet the criteria of being low risk for the last 3 weeks. So I don't know, John, if you want to get into that detail. I think you're muted, John.
Yeah.
Okay. How's that? Is that better?
Yep, that sounds good, John. Thanks.
Oh, good. So catch me up, please, as I'm just joining. How far have you gotten, Deb?
I was just given the numbers update, John, but I thought you might want to talk about the next step with phase 3, step 2.
All right. A few days ago, the governor's office put out an update. Well, actually, an emergency order rescinding the emergency order number 46. And this is to go into effect this coming Monday. Dan Scripp did an excellent job reviewing what was put out and comparing it and localizing it. And we have several changes. An emphasis that anyone with outdoor gatherings where there's going to be more than 50 attendees, they shall provide notice to the local Board of Health at least 1 week before the event, at least to attempt that. Outdoor gatherings at private residences and in private backyards will stay with a maximum of 50. However, other venues in lower risk communities such as Nahant will go to a maximum of 100 from the 50 that it was previously at. There was an emphasis again that we keep the social distancing at 6 feet, and that indoor gatherings are limited to 25 persons in a single enclosed indoor space. And for gatherings of more than 10 people, all persons over the age of 5 must wear face face covering. And it was mentioned that the local licensing authority may suspend or revoke a liquor license or take other appropriate enforcement action upon proof that the licensee violated or permitted a violation. Violated.
Looks like John got cut off there. I can follow up on that. The enforcement mechanism of the most recent emergency order does not really change much. It's essentially the same. Oh, there's John.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You lost me. I had a call coming in. The political and religious activities are exempted. However, as long as they follow the COVID-19 safety rules and capacity limitations. And those are in the sector-specific guidelines in the places of worship section at mass.gov, coronavirus guidelines. There's a lot going on, obviously. The executive order itself is, I printed it, 6 pages long. However, thankfully, our community stays in the lower risk category, which gives us some basis upon which to make some decisions, case by case. But the citizens who are interested in running an event of any type are being asked to continue what we have been doing, and that is not only submit an event request form if it is to occur on public property, but to submit a COVID-19 compliance plan, which would come to me, and I would contact the person submitting it to go over the specifics of the event and make suggestions if need be. And we would work toward approving a plan. And thus far, the plans that I have received, and I've mentioned this in previous meetings, plans have been well thought out, and the execution of the plans has generally been very good. So I look forward to continue working with folks from town. Would now be a good time to touch on Halloween specifically, or do you want to save that till later in the meeting? Anybody?
We could touch on it now. I've talked to the I talked to Selectman Canty. I don't know if I've got a chance to talk to you about it yet, Josh. We have gotten a few calls from folks in town asking what we're going to do. And I talked to Deb Murphy a little bit as well about, what guidance is out there. It doesn't really seem like we're getting a ton of guidance from the state. I did do some research and saw some guidance from the CDC about different, risk level activities that folks can participate in on Halloween. For the most part, the town, in my opinion, and again, we haven't really discussed this as a group yet. In my opinion, we don't really have a way to enforce any type of limitation on participating in Halloween. And for that reason, I think it'd be best for our approach to be more of, here is some guidance that we're getting from the experts on how to participate safely, but ultimately that it's up to the parents and the homeowners whether or not they want to take part in the holiday.
Tony, I'd like to reference, while we do not have any holiday celebration specific guidance from the state level yet, I also went to the CDC website, and others can do so as well, going to cdc.gov/coronavirus and searching holiday celebrations. They cover the holidays coming up in the next 3 months, and they look at Halloween specifically. And I found that it was very good common sense direction, and clearly these recommendations are coming from the CDC, so it's a national one-size-fits-all set of guidance, and it's also based on the fact that what we do locally is based on our local data, and the guidelines given are, as I said, very common sense, and we will use that kind of approach evaluating any event requests and compliance plans that are submitted.
What kind of guidelines did they give us, John?
From the CDC?
Yeah, for Halloween.
Sure.
It was different risk levels. It kind of said, here are the type of activities that you could participate that present the least risk of transmission. And then it kind of steps up to a moderate risk, and then it steps up to a higher risk. And they kind of give some guidelines. I'm going to try to look it up and see if I can share it on my screen.
And the one thing that I think people should realize too, if you don't want to participate as a homeowner, if you feel like you're at risk, if you're in the high risk category, all you have to do is turn out your light, and you don't have to give out candy to the trick-or-treaters. If you want to participate, keep your house, keep your front lights out and keep your door closed. So, and I think, there'll probably be a fair amount of houses that have decided not to participate.
Agreed.
So I don't know if you can, if you can see this.
Yeah.
I see it.
So, right.
Go ahead if you want to read some of this stuff here, Deb or John.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the school too will be having, do what they usually do at school, but we'll probably have some type of a Halloween parade for the kids with, with the masks on going around the school like they usually do. But all of these things here that you can see are the lower risk activities. I mean, kids love Halloween, and like John said, our numbers, we've been so lucky to keep our data so low. When you get up to the higher and moderate risks, they're always saying continue to do what you're doing. Wash your hands. Small groups outside. Don't go in those big groups that you see the teenagers going in. And the parents, I'm sure, are going to be with the kids, and they'll probably keep it. It will be hard, I think, to keep the kids 6 feet apart. But the big deal is having a mask on. I know in my DPH meeting, they even said if the kids could have a mask on, and then if their costume has a mask, put it over the mask. That might be a little challenging for some of the young kids.
So, Selectman Canty, I don't know if you can see this, but it says higher risk activities to avoid are traditional trick-or-treating, trunk-or-treat events, crowded costume parties, haunted houses, tractor rides, things like that. And then a moderate risk activity as far as it comes to handing candy out, it talks about individually wrapped goodie bags, lined up for families to grab and go while you are walking down the street instead of going to the door, and that when you're preparing those bags to wash your hands. So, again, I think that our approach would be to relay this information to the public and you know, and kind of promote these guidelines as best we can.
Just thinking about this for a second too, as you said, wrapped candy, that could be left outside.
Correct. Correct.
Just, you know, just trying to come up with some ideas because people are going to be looking for guidance.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
we can post these guidelines or link to these guidelines on the Nahant.org website. But I mean, if as you read down this list, they're all consistent with, you know, what's been preached for the last, you know, 8-9 months. So no surprises here. Personally, I suspect it's going to be a pretty subdued Halloween in Nahant. We certainly have been very lucky, as Deb pointed out, that the number of cases in most recent months have been really low. So we've been very fortunate, especially because most of us have to do our grocery shopping in communities with a much higher rate. So whatever people are doing to keep our rates low, keep it up.
John, not that I want to get off of this, we've got some good information, but what about wholesale testing for the town?
While there are testing events along those lines being discussed, anybody can go to just next door to Lynn. 7 days a week, there's free testing being conducted, and I myself twice have been notified the very next day as to my results. The longest I've had to wait is 4 days. It's generally 2 to 3. And there are 2 or 3 sites in Lynn where testing is occurring. So I encourage people to make an appointment. And there are times where I'm just driving by and I don't see anybody waiting in line, so I'll pull in. And within a few minutes, you can be tested. Otherwise, you make an appointment. That ensures that you're getting up to the front of the line at your time, instead of waiting until testing event comes to town. There are quite a few opportunities, not just in Lynn, but any of the communities that are being maintained in the red.
I've also been in communication with Swampscott. I'm speaking with Chief Archer tomorrow. For anyone on the call that saw the Lynn item with Swampscott's free testing, we're going to be joining them on that. So we'll hopefully be making an announcement tomorrow or over the weekend or early Monday that the testing being done for free in Swampscott is also open to Nahant residents and Nahant employees.
Great.
So we are, hopefully we'll be able to announce that. I just want to work out the final details, make sure we get the schedule right. I want to give a list of employees to Swampscott, and then anybody with an ID that has their Nahant address, obviously, be able to get a test too. So for Nahant, you have the option of going to Lynn. You'll have the option of either going to Lynn or Swampscott to get a free test. And that's, you can be asymptomatic.
Thank you.
Deb, do you want to speak a little bit about the flu clinic and how that went today? Hold on. Hit unmute. Here you go.
So yes, so today was day 1 of our 2-day flu clinic for people over 65. We were at the Nahant Country Club doing an outside drive-through clinic. We were there all day. We started, the first appointment was 9, the last one was 4. Everybody that came had an appointment. It was unbelievable how organized it was. And the DPW was there this morning. They met us there at like 7:15. And they were just great helping us set up the tents and the cones and
Deb, this is Gene, and several people have told me that was absolutely seamless.
it was wonderful. You know what? No one's going to want to come back inside the building. Everybody loved being in the car. And, you know, the team that we have, and they're all volunteers, which is amazing. They did such a great job today. And we had, you know, the perfect day. The weather was perfect. We had that location for an outdoor drive-through is wonderful. I mean, it's one way. There was plenty of room for the cars. We had people waiting, you know, for 10 minutes after the shot. The police were there directing the traffic, and everybody was delighted. So that was great. Tomorrow we're doing, and we used every single vaccine that we had. We had 90 high doses, and we've used every single one of them. Tomorrow, the same thing. We have 90 vaccines of the regular for people 18 to 64. Again, we have all the appointments have been made, and it looks like right now we have about 86 doses accounted for. I have a few people on a waiting list, so I will call them tomorrow and let them know that they can come up and get the vaccine. But the weather tomorrow looks like it might be a little more challenging, but we have tents, and you know, we're hoping that there's no reason why it shouldn't go as smoothly as today. So kudos, you know, again, thanks to everybody for helping to make this as great as it turned out to be. I will admit I had a little bit of anxiety thinking about it, and it was just really great. So, John, we gave you a flu shot. How does your arm feel?
Well, I have to congratulate the person giving the dose. She said it was going to feel like a little pinch, and I said, okay, let me know when. And she says, oh, it's already done. That's how good she was.
Oh, okay. I think that wraps it up.
Well, thank you so much. I'm actually posting, I'm posting on our Facebook page right now, the pictures you sent me, Deb.
Okay. Great.
Any other questions from the selectmen for John or Deb on coronavirus related issues?
Not for me. I think I heard Deb say that 1,600 Nahanters have been tested already, so that's, you know, pretty good percentage of the entire population. And congratulations on the well-organized flu vaccine. That's you know, Nahant continues to provide wonderful services for our citizens, so happy to hear about it.
Well, I'm actually, if there's no more questions, I'm going to log off because I do have a little more paperwork to do to get ready for tomorrow. So I will say goodbye now then.
Thank you, Deb.
You're welcome.
John?
I'll hang in.
Great. What's next?
Opening comments, boat hauling dates. I can read those. There's 2 hauling dates, October 16th, which is a Friday, I believe, since that's my boat day, and October 17th, Saturday. High tides at 11 a.m. on Friday and noonish on Saturday. Jocelyn, I guess I'll read this whole thing. They arrive 2 to 4 hours before high tide. And their phone number is 978-642-9717. It definitely should call as soon as you can to make sure you're on the list. I know Rob Thibault, our Wharfinger, has provided them with a tentative list already. And the wharf parking lot will be cleared and marked the night prior, Thursday night. The drive-in flu clinic, I think we covered that, but the day 1 was today, and tomorrow is day 2. So tomorrow, day 2, it's a regular dose only, and this is available for folks 18 to 64 years old from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and then 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. An appointment is required, so please call 781-581-7557 and have your insurance card ready when you make that phone call, please. Next on the agenda is new business. We have a vacancy on the school committee meeting. And we are gonna, we're announcing that open seat and the process to fill that application. Tony, maybe you can provide some more details, but
Yep.
those will be sent to you and our superintendent, excuse me, by October 14th. You want to add any detail there, Tony?
Yes. So section 313 of our town charter requires that when an elected position goes vacant, that it is a joint vote of the Board of Selectmen, remaining members of that elected board or committee, so in this case, the school committee, to fill the seat until the next election day, when the remaining terms or remaining years of the vacant term would be on the ballot. I'm not really sure how many years are left on the vacant seat, but anybody interested in applying for that can send their letter of interest and resume to abarletta@nahant.org, me, or Tony Parentozzi at johnsonschool.org. Those emails are on our agenda tonight, and by Wednesday, October 14th. And then what we'll do is we will schedule a joint meeting with the school committee, probably for the first week in November, to have the vote. And that's it. Looking forward to a lot of volunteers, wanting to get involved there. And obviously, a huge thank you to Patty Sheehan, the former school committee member that has resigned, has dedicated a lot of time to the school and did a phenomenal job there. So shout out to Patty as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Patty. I know you'll be missed on the school committee. All right, next item 4 is ongoing business. Item 4A is preserving East Point, continuing discussion. I will just say that some people may have seen the Lynn item article from a couple days ago. Northeastern did send us a letter consisting of an offer and asking for a prompt reply. We met in executive session on Tuesday night and voted unanimously to reject that offer as it was presented. We are in our response letter are encouraging Northeastern to return to the table and discuss an offer that would be more consistent with the town's desires. So I guess that's my summary on that. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those. I guess we'll take any questions during citizens forum. And then we have vote to approve the FY21 trash bills and the changes to the distribution and abatements. I think, Dan, maybe you have,
I can share my screen.
all right, the wording for the motion.
Dan has the wording for the motion. I'm going to share my screen. Hold on a second.
All right. So Gene, maybe, oh, you're on the phone. So I'll read the motion, Gene, and you can second.
Sure.
Okay. Dan,
Yes.
can you read the motion and then Chairman can so move and Gene can second and then we can get into discussion?
I can. Give me a moment to pull it up and just give me a second or two. I gotta find it.
Mm-hmm. I think it was just simply moved to approve the Nahant trash rates and abatements for fiscal year 21 as presented, something like that.
Yeah, okay, I'm ready whenever you are.
Go ahead.
The motion would be this. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the 2020 trash rates and abatements as outlined in the document entitled Town of Nahant Trash Rates and Abatements 2020. So that's the motion.
So moved.
There we go.
Seconded.
Discussion.
Okay. Discussion?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we discussed this at our last meeting, and since then there's been a Lynn Item article about it, and we've been really having this discussion for about a year now. And this is part of the slower but longer and more involved public process that we're trying to accomplish to combat increased costs of waste and recycling services. As discussed at the last meeting, one thing that what we've done here is try to change how we distribute the cost of the services in a more fair and equitable way to the ratepayers in town. And in the past, we had legitimate, lawful, classified 2-family, 3-family, 4-family, commercial with resident units in town, all getting the same $345 rate for trash. Well, even though you had, some, like as for example, you have a 4-family paying the same as a 1-family. So we took a look at how could we spread the costs over a little bit more fair, a little bit more targeted towards how much trash is actually being produced by those households without actually requiring a pay-as-you-throw type system. And we looked at what's the average per person per household in the state and in the county. And we came up with the rates that you see in front of you today. So before, a 4-family home would get one bill for $355. Now they're going to get one bill for $1,400, and it's distributed amongst those 4 units. So each family is contributing equally to the total cost of the services. Whereas before, as I mentioned, a single family was paying the same as a four family. So they'll still get one bill. It's based on per person in the household, essentially. The next rate is for commercial. So for a parcel that has a commercial business on it that does not use no, I'm sorry. So if it's simply a commercial business, they get charged $428. And then if it's a combined commercial with residencies in the same parcel, it's broken down there with private trash, with R1 town trash, or with R2 and town trash. And then the idea here is that everyone would get billed these rates, and then there's abatements available. So, for instance, a commercial business with private trash, meaning they don't utilize curbside pickup, they would be eligible for a 68% reduction on that $428 fee plus the $20 per unit of residencies. So, because they're still contributing to the amount of trash that we have here in town, and they're still enjoying the benefits of the services that we provide here in town, they would still contribute somewhat to the total system, just not as much as someone who's getting curbside pickup. So this is very well thought out by Mary Lowe, Sheila Hamilton, and Dan Scripp, and helps us get one step closer to a more equitable distribution. And then the next step over the next year, we'll be talking about potentially changing how we collect our trash, which could have a positive impact on the total cost for the services, and lead to potential decreases to the households in town, to the ratepayers. Any questions?
Seems like a pretty fair solution, and I know a lot of work went into it to condense down to this very simple form here. So one thing I want to say is that as Tony, next June we could be seeing much more significant than how our trash is collected and that sort of thing. There aren't too many people on the line today, but we want to get as much public input as possible between now and, let's say, April or so, on what approach we want to lock in contractually next June. So talk to your neighbors and encourage them to let their feelings known on what they feel is the best approach. We want to avoid the surprise that Swampscott had recently, where they changed their system and people didn't feel like they're properly informed. So we definitely want the public to participate in voicing their opinion on how the changes will look next year.
Thank you, Josh. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, because that is very important. That's the goal here. Is I know we're not going to be able to get to everybody, but we're doing our best. We'll try to promote that process as much as possible. So if you have no other questions or comments, take a roll call vote.
Yep. If there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
And Mr. Callahan is not on the call.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see, what's next?
Next is Kelly Green. Maybe you want to provide that update, Tony.
Yep. So we've extended the deadline that was September 30th to for a 2-week extension. Essentially, that was because of a procurement requirement. So when we reached out to the Inspector General's office to ask them if we, what it would, we really wanted, the intention all along was that the golf committee would be the reviewers and graders of the bids that we receive. But we didn't include that in our original posting. And so by doing that midway through, it requires to add 2 weeks to the total time frame. And that's what we did.
Okay, and just in case it's not obvious for anybody on the line, this is in regards to a lease request for proposal for leasing the Kelly Greens restaurant and golf course. The current leasee's term is expiring October 31st, so a request for proposal has been posted for any entities interested in leasing that property. So that's the background.
Dan, do you have anything to add?
No, well, it's nothing unusual. We're just adopting a belt and suspenders approach, making sure that we're inoculating ourselves from any sort of bid protests once a successful bidder is chosen. So we're just making sure we're covering all our bases and as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Next up is the town administrator's report. Just wanted to mention one thing that's not listed here, but there was a lot of bedlam in the harbor with the storm the other day. Few boats broke loose. Most were rescued without too much damage, but one big blue trawler did wash up on the rocks. I was out of town, so didn't witness it firsthand. But most importantly, they had a fuel leak and oil leak, and I believe that was tended to by Clean Harbors. Tony,
Yes. Yes. So I'm trying to pull up my information about that. Here we go.
And then also not on this agenda is the sewer main break, but I'm sure you'll give us an update on that as well.
Yes. Yeah, when we posted this meeting, that chaos had not ensued yet.
A lot can happen in right?
Right. So at about 7:30 in the morning, on, what was that? Was this yesterday? This was yesterday, Tuesday, right? What's today? Wednesday?
Today's Thursday.
So it would have been, no, so it was Wednesday. So yesterday, at around 7:30 in the morning, we had a powerboat break free from its mooring and rested on Tudor Beach. And then several other boats also were in trouble in the Tudor Wharf mooring area. A 16-foot sailboat had broken free. A 32-foot sailboat had dragged its mooring and was in danger of grounding out. And the 50-foot trawler broke free from its mooring and hit and swamped a 23-foot lobster boat while also dragging another 32-foot schooner towards the rocks. So on its way through the harbor, due to that storm, it did cause some damage to other boats. Ended up on the rocks and experienced a lot of damage. And like you said, a undetermined amount of diesel fuel from one of the tanks on board broke free and into the harbor. So Coast Guard was notified immediately by the harbor master. The Mass DEP and Coast Guard were dispatched. They were on site by noon. CETO was also on site, and Clean Harbor Environmental Services was on site immediately, or as fast as they could get there, to remove remaining fuel from the vessel. And all fuel has since been removed from the harbor by Clean Harbors Environmental Services. So unfortunately for the owners of that boat, it experienced so much damage, and it was scheduled to be hauled out of the water, I think, tomorrow. And now, unfortunately, is not going to survive. And either tomorrow, depending on weather and sea conditions, or over the weekend or Monday, that boat is going to be cut up and removed from the rocks. We also had significant amount of damage around town to trees, tree limbs, power lines, poles. Number of our library roof experienced a significant amount of damage. Our DPW building roof experienced some damage. We had our insurance company in town today taking a look at both so that we can make those repairs quickly. And then, of course, this all happened, the day after the sewer main break that occurred on Tuesday. So we had, with the sewer break, we were approved for borrowing through the SRF program earlier this year, and it required a town meeting vote, which would have happened in May, but because of COVID got postponed to September. So Saturday, the annual town meeting approved the borrowing, and Monday we reached out to SRF program to begin filing paperwork for the borrowing, and then Tuesday we experienced a sewer break on the Linway. So there's pretty extensive break in a very difficult spot, and the job's completed now, but it was about a 2-day job given the location. It was in between a electrical duct and a gravity sewer main, about 14 feet deep under a pretty busy intersection on the Linway. Our team does such a good job, unfortunately, because it's happened so many times over the last 3 years, on acting quickly. So we had it under control fairly quickly, and the repair was done fairly quickly, but this one's a little bit more expensive than the last one we had. And certainly, we got to make the patch, and we got to do what we have to do there. But unfortunately, since 2017, I think we've had 5 sewer breaks in between U-Haul and the clock tower. We've probably spent about $2 million, and we've only repaired probably about 5 feet of pipe. Compared to the job that we're planning on doing, which the barn was approved for, is a $6 million job, and that'll repair a 50-year repair from the rotary all the way to the treatment plant. So it hurts, it hurts when you're spending that much money on emergency repairs. It also hurts too because we've been contacted by Mass DEP, have been alerted that we may be seeing a draft enforcement order from DEP requiring us to meet certain planning and certain action items by targeted dates. I feel comfortable that we're going to be able to accomplish all those requirements and that we'll be able to meet all those requirements. Of course, but you have 5 breaks in a couple years, and certainly the state is concerned about that and wants to make sure that we're getting, doing our part to make sure that that gets fixed, which we are. It's just.
Tony, what's the likelihood that we're going to continue to experience these breaks until we finally resolve this issue?
It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. You never know when it's going to come. Hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have another one before we get into the full repair, which hopefully happens over the winter. Maybe we have it procured and contracted by the end of November, and we're breaking ground sometime in December or January. But it's really hard to tell.
Who was the company you had in there fixing the piping?
S. Grenice and Sons.
I tell you, they did a great job.
They do excellent work. Excellent work. They know our system pretty well by now, unfortunately.
Fortunately, they're getting very experienced, but Tony, you mentioned that the schedule for the slip lining repair. Thank goodness it's hopefully coming up this winter, and also thank goodness the $4.9 million borrowing was approved by the voters last weekend. Hopefully those two facts help with DEP and minimizing their punitive damages. So we have a plan, and it's very close to being executed, and it's funded, and it's too bad it couldn't have been done before this break, but hopefully after this winter all this will be behind us for 50 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody on the phone that'll be around for the next repair. Maybe you, Tony.
Yeah. Hopefully it is in 50 years. But I'm not gonna jinx us. I think I cheered too much after the town meeting vote passed, and may have jinxed that whole situation. So that's where we are with the sewer main. We thank all the residents for their help with conserving water during that time. And I have, what else? Let me see on there. So annual town meeting review, our town meeting on Saturday went very smooth. A huge thank you to John and Deb and the department heads, police, fire, DPW, the moderator, the clerk, the FinCom, our accounting, our town hall staff. I mean, so many people contributed to the success of that meeting. The residents, the volunteers, I mean, everybody played a role, and it was, the weather worked out. So, shout out to Mother Nature for helping us. And it went very smooth. So, it certainly was costly, but it was healthy and it was safe, and that's what's important. So, we got a lot of necessary things done there, and just want to thank everyone that was involved, the Board of Selectmen as well, of course, legal, there were so many different people that were involved or had a role in it. So thank you to everybody. That was very successful. Our streetlight conversion project update. So we have probably about a quarter of the materials delivered in town already. They're kind of coming in separate shipments. And as soon as all of the new LED Cobra heads for our streetlights are in, the job will begin. We're hoping next week. And it's probably about a 3-week project. So we do have a ton of streetlights that are, that are out already and we're in need of repair anyways. We've gotten quite a few people making those requests. It's coming and we're excited about it. It should be done. Like I said, it should be done by the end of the month. Water repair projects. So over the last month or so, our engineer Kleinfelder and our contractor Cadillo and Sons have been making much needed water repairs to Furbish Road, Walton Road, Howe Road, and Mills Terrace. They've done an excellent job. If anybody has been down Walton or Furbish, you'll see that they patched the street in such a. They actually what they did was after making their repairs, they backfilled and then they milled the street a little bit wider than the trench that they actually used and paved. And then they brought in fresh loom for the edges of the roadway, cleaned it up very nice, very impressed with the work that they've done. We're very happy with them and our engineers. All that work is essentially completed except Mills Terrace. I think we are waiting on a pressure test for Mills Terrace, and then as soon as we get that, they will finish their services and do the repair the street and be done with it all. So that work is going very well. Parrot and Fallon Way projects. Parrot Road, Little Nahant, is complete. The DPW again did an amazing job there. From what I understand, the residents are very pleased with that work that's completed. They rebuilt the retaining wall and the end of the road that was experienced damage from the 2018 storm, so long overdue, but the job came out great. They got less of a job on Fallon, but still some needed repairs on the wall and on the street at the end. And then once that's done, they'll be coming back and working on the revetment. So we put some pretty large boulders over the side when the storm was here, and I wasn't here, but my understanding is it was the wall had given loose, so we dumped some large boulders over the side to help break up the wave action, and they're not really consistent with the existing revetment in that area. So what we will be doing is breaking those up and replacing them so it's consistent with the existing revetment. So that work is almost done, going well. Short Beach sandbags. If anyone has noticed, large white sandbags on the entrances of Short Beach. DPW acquired quite a few sandbags like that to use instead of Jersey barriers as a protection, as a protection in the meantime, while we are before we get the MVP project underway. And those sandbags are going to do a much better job at protecting against storm surge than the Jersey barriers do. So it's a great improvement. We're going to be using those all over, wherever we need them in town. I think that's all I got. I'm good. I think that's it.
Hey, Tony,
Yes.
just to pass it along, a couple of the lobstermen said to extend their thank you for power washing that ramp down at the wharf. Makes a big difference.
They are welcome. I'm curious, after that storm, it probably needs it again already.
Yeah, it may. I was down there and it was very clean prior to the storm.
Yeah, it's not so much the cleanliness, but the non-slipperiness. So I was down
That's
there
what I meant.
Saturday before our town meeting. Yeah, we hauled the dory club
Yeah.
closed. And the very end, which is below the normal low tide mark, I slipped a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, I used to slip all the time," but I could see the pressure wash mark. So definitely appreciate it. A lot safer. So very nice. It's little things like that that make us really appreciate all the stuff the DPW does. I also went down the Heritage Trail, I think last Saturday also before the town meeting, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it looks really good. Lodge Park looks really good too. They've done a lot of work up at Lodge Park.
Yep, I'm excited to get the work done on not Bailey's Hill, but Fort Ruckman, the backside of the bunker there at for which we have that CPC application in. Be really exciting to get that area cleaned up, get some of the debris out of there and the invasive species. So everything's coming along. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
With all that stuff.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. We're very lucky.
Just one thing before we go to Citizens Forum, seeing Dan Scripp and Alice Court on the line reminds me about the issue about the Valley Road linden trees. Is there anything?
I have not looked into that yet,
Okay.
so I have nothing to add at the moment.
All right. I'm just maybe for our meeting October 22nd, maybe we can have an update then.
Okay.
What is that on?
Alice brought up the question of the linden trees that line Valley Road and whether they're considered part of Nahant's shade trees. I think we probably need some input from Mark Carboni, our tree warden. So anyway, just wanted to make sure we have an update for our next meeting on the 22nd.
Speaking of Valley Road, and there's something that I think I need to talk with Tony about, because I think this has been an issue in the past, but apparently there's a location there that is less than up to the standards of what we would consider to be acceptable to the town. So, Tony, you and I can talk about that, and then we can bring it back out front if we need to, and we can do that next week.
Sure, absolutely. Is it related to the trees or is it something else?
It's something else.
Okay. Well, let me know. We'll get on it.
Thank you.
Just one other thing that I didn't have on my list here either is Bobby Joe's last day was Saturday, so we don't have anybody in that position at the moment. We have received a decent amount of applications and to fill that spot, but just I'm asking, I guess, the community to understand that we're a little short-staffed at the moment, and we'll do our best to keep up with the incoming calls and questions and requests. We are a little short-staffed at the moment in the town hall in that spot.
I think we've publicly acknowledged and thank Bobby Joe for the wonderful job she's done. But just in case, thanks a lot, Bobby Joe.
You're here. That's it. That's all. Do you want to go to Citizens Forum?
Yeah. So next item on the agenda is Citizens Forum.
Don't have anyone in the chat. So if anybody on the line wants to unmute themselves, you have the power to do so, and just say your name and address and whatever it is you might want to bring in front of the board.
Going once. Looks like a quiet night from the citizens.
All right, then. So next week, we have 2 executive sessions, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday. We would typically be meeting on the 15th, the following Thursday, 2 weeks from now. However, our next meeting is going to be when we set the tax rate, and that is a tax classification hearing, which requires certain publishing notice and requirements there with the line item and certain dates. So it pushes us out to the 22nd, I believe it is. So that'll be our next open public Board of Selectmen meeting.
All right. Anything else from anyone? All right. In that case, I move that the Board of Selectmen adjourn the
I'll second that.
20.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.